All right, Gigi Magree, welcome to the Heart Dealer podcast. How are you?
Let's fucking go. Slightly hungover, but other than that, I'm fantastic. I got
Well,
great lighting, I'm feeling good.
we set everything up. You do not look hungover. You do not sound hungover. We're good.
Yay, go me. 10.
All right, so Australian DJ, producer, vocalist, grew up in the heart of Australian club scene. Dad owns like a big historic gay club. You were
Yep.
like in and around partying, raving. Go.
I'm psycho, basically. No, I've lived probably like I feel like my life is in stages and I feel like I have lived so many different stages and every stage just keeps getting like more exciting and bigger. And I don't know, I'm so grateful. Like I started going out clubbing when I was 13 because my dad owns he owned a bunch of clubs in Australia before clubs kind of got closed and stuff because the whole lockout law thing happened. But the first club I went to was my dad's gay bar, which he still owns. It's like the most kind of iconic gay bar in Australia. It's called Stonewall. And I remember going there for the first time and being like, "Oh my god, this is nightclubs! Like, this is the party scene! Like, this is like," not understanding that it's like that's like drag queens and like like that club kid culture is like back then in Australia. And I was like, "This is what I want to do for the rest of my life! Like, I love this!" And here I am, X amount of years later, still doing it.
Do you ever think back on that and think like, "Man, I was too young to be, like, at those clubs," or no?
No, I when I have children, like my relationship with my parents is like they're my best friends. Like I tell them everything, like probably
Yeah.
stuff maybe they don't want to hear, but our relationship is so open. Like the first time like I ever drank, I drank with my parents. Like the first time I ever did any type of thing, a legal thing, I did it with my dad
Mhm.
usually. And I think that like growing up and the freedom that they gave me to like truly be myself and kind of do whatever I want because of that, I never took anything like, I never took it to any extremes because I didn't have boundaries. They were like, "We trust you. Like, we have taught you how to be a good person and your morals are great. So, like, you're not gonna do weird shit or, like, be a bad person." And I think that that is, like, how I would wanna bring my children up because it's just, like, I think when communication is so like, I'm so big on communication and me, my family, like, that's how we are. And I feel I don't know, like, I think that allowing your child to experience things how they want to experience them for themselves and being like supportive, I think that that's just so cool. And like, I don't know, it's like, it's just sick rather
I
than being like, "Don't do this," just be like, "Do whatever you want." But things come with like like, you might get in trouble if you do certain things or you might feel bad.
Yeah. I had a similar, I guess, upbringing. My parents were hands on, hands off, like, we'll tell you how to do things, go out and do it and learn your lessons.
Yeah.
They were also the same way when it came to partying. I mean, I was a bit of a late bloomer when it came to, having fun. I wasn't, going to clubs at your age, but in high school, my parents were like, "If you guys are gonna drink anyways, you're gonna get messed up, like, we're gonna have that parties at our house because that way
Yeah.
we can at least monitor the
Yep.
situation, and if you
Yep.
get too rowdy, then we'll kick you out." It's
Yeah.
it's best of
I,
both worlds.
I think I never like a lot of my friends when I was younger, like in high school and stuff, like they would like sneak out and do all this crazy stuff. And like I would be the one like at the party at like 1 a.m. Calling my mom or my stepdad and being like, "Hey, can you come pick me up? Like I want to go home on board." And like all my friends would out be doing like crazy shit because they weren't allowed to. Because I feel like it's like if you tell a child, "No, don't do this," of course you're gonna do it. Like that's just like human instinct. Because I
Yeah.
didn't have that, I like of course I'm like I'm a wild card, like I do crazy stuff, but I never was naughty. Like I never did naughty things,
Yeah.
because I didn't have to.
Yeah. So you obviously live a wild life, especially according to many people that haven't been there before. But it sounds like you had a really good upbringing and family life, so you had boundaries and you never kind of took it too far, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I mean, of course I've done like dumb shit, but I feel like I I have this like one rule which I think I my mom told me when I was like, I don't know, 10 years old. It's like you always treat people how you want to be treated. Like you always see people in the light that you want to be seen. And I followed that rule my entire life. So I really do my best to like never put myself in a situation where it's going to hurt someone or I'm doing something that doesn't feel good to
Yeah,
myself or to the other person because like what's the fucking point? Like when people do mean things, I'm just like, "Oh, like you're so not grown as a human." Like the reason I think humans like exist is to connect and love. And I'm like, when you do mean things, you're like breaking that. And
yeah,
that's just like that's ugly.
I agree. I
Yeah.
mean, it's connectivity, love, inclusivity is kind of like so simple in concept and so foundational for us. And when we do that, it's not as often that we make bad decisions or go too far.
Yeah, because I feel like when I mean, I've got such like a great community of like friends, and obviously my family's like amazing, and I feel like that has like kept me so grounded my entire life because I don't know, when you're surrounded by people that are like-minded and like they all just want community and growth and to succeed and like build each other up, like I think that that's just a recipe of like love and happiness because like the end goal of like I think our entire existence is to, yeah, like love and happiness. That's it, you
Yeah.
know.
It's funny, like, I don't know why I just thought of this, probably because of the love and the drugs, which we'll talk about, but in university in Toronto, I had, I had a few gay friends, but this one gay guy who eventually married the other gay guy that I knew, um, Ryan, he convinced me and my buddy Ed to do E. I mean, I had done E before, like, it wasn't, like, the first time, but we was like, "Yeah, we should do E." So, we were in his dorm room and we did it, and I didn't find out until afterwards that he actually didn't do it that day because he wanted to make sure we were okay. So he
Oh,
basically created a really safe space, encouraged us, but then like monitored over us.
oh, I love that. I love that. That's like I I like I love DMT, right? I don't know if you've ever done DMT.
I have not.
It's like it's like pretty much the only drug that I really like to do because it's like so fast. You go so deep inside yourself. And then like when you come out, you're completely normal. You're not like you don't have like a hangover, you're not a little bit brain fucked up. Like, yeah, you're like, whoa, what the fuck did I just see? But
Mm.
wait, is swearing okay? Do you want me to keep that to like a minimum?
Oh, we're good.
Okay, cool. Because I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and when a lot of my friends, like, they'll come over to my house and I'll do like, I'll watch them while they do it because I think it's like, yeah, whenever you're doing like any type of like, narcotic, you should have someone like there, present, safe. You know, I don't know why I'm telling you this story, but yeah, my friends love when I don't do DMT and I let them do DMT and I just like guide them through it because when they come out, they're like, "Oh my God, am I okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're so safe. You're human. You're breathing. Everything's great. Like your mind is open, you know?"
I mean, it's like our parents, right? They're the watchers.
Yeah.
You're gonna do it.
They're the
Do it.
cucks. That's so fucked up. I shouldn't say that.
They're like lifeguards.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
Um, so we're gonna talk about a whole bunch of stuff today. There were so many really cool things about your story that I latched onto, and sorry, there was a chopper going by. Uh, and there's like ups and downs, and I started to think of some of my stories, like from my youth, which hopefully I'll be able to share a bit of that too. But before we dive into the sexuality and the music and all this stuff, I really like two things. One was the Black Widow concept, right? You talked about, I think there was a quote, if a guy fucks me over and takes my kindness for weakness, watch out. And then there was the grandmother and
Oh,
how the grandmother passing and then how you start to treat yourself. Um, they sound like they're two very separate things, but also similar,
I
like
think
tied together.
they're both just like awareness and coming to like I think it's like as I talk about like stages of life, I think it's like they're both just like new growth, rebirth stages of life. I think like when you learn, I feel like, and not to say like you have to go through trauma, but I feel like if you haven't been through trauma, or if you haven't felt great loss, or if you haven't had real heartache, I'm like, I don't think that you like, I think like you have to feel a lot of loss to understand life. Like, I always think like with death comes like rebirth and make like death is the one thing that makes you feel really alive
Yeah.
because you're like, oh, like it can go that fast. And like the concept of never seeing someone that you love again is like a really, I don't think you ever really grasp it, like because you replay memories of them in your mind and things like that, but you're like, "Oh, no, I'll never be able to, like, touch or smell or hug or kiss them again."
Mhm. I mean, I've already shared this before, but it's relevant to what you just said. I had a baby girl, 2, 3 months ago, and she lived for a week and then died.
Oh.
And, like, we were there she was home for a few days, and then she was at the hospital the rest of the time, and we were at the
Oh.
hospital, and we held her while she died, and I
Oh.
understand what you're saying
Oh my
because you
god,
cannot
that is
fathom that,
fucking
right?
oh, that is, like that's, like I think that's, like, one of, like, the most terrible things that can happen is to
Yeah,
watch oh my god, I feel like that's, like that just gave me, like, I'm so sorry. I hate that. That is, like I couldn't even ugh, I'm so sorry, but yeah, I guess it's, like, with any death, like, my I recently lost my grandma, and, like, she's,
yeah,
like was, my other grandma, and she was, like, basically, like, the forefront woman in my life for a really long time, like, my family's kind of, like it's, like, really twisted and weird, but, like, really, really beautiful. My my mom and dad got together at a really young age, and my mom lost her mom, and we can talk about that later, but my mom lost her mom in, like, a really unfortunate way. But yeah, I think that, like, just losing someone that you love and going through trauma, like, really makes you who you are as a person, and I know, like, I hate to say that, like, people that haven't been through trauma, like, haven't really grown, but you can tell when people have gone through trauma and have healed because I feel like they view the world differently,
yeah,
you know? Like,
mhm,
you understand yourself and, like, what loss feels like.
yeah. So the song "Forever" is about your grandmother's death, correct?
Mhm,
And I think that in the notes I saw that, um, I don't misquote me, but there was something about the fact that both of you were in abusive relationships at the same time,
mhm.
or did you go into them afterwards? Talk to me about that.
No. So my grandmother was in an abusive relationship, and basically she, she died from being in a abusive relationship.
Same.
Um, and I was in an abusive relationship for, like, 2 years when I was younger, and I remember one day, like, he came home, he was, like, really fucked up on drugs, was going through my phone, basically, like, was he was a model at the time. He saw that I had sent, like, nudes and didn't check like, clock that I didn't save his number from, like, another country and couldn't clock that the photos that I was sending were to him, and he went crazy, did some really, really horrible things, and I remember, when I was living in London, when he threw all my stuff out the window, he threw my passport and everything out. I remember, like, getting into a car and not really know where I was going because I lived in London, I didn't really have any friends, like, I just moved there with him, and I remember being like my grandma, like, she had passed. I remember this, like, overwhelming feeling of being like, "Stop." Like, if you don't stop, what has happened to me will happen to you. And I remember, like, just sitting in this, like, black car, just crying, bawling my eyes out, but also feeling like this, like, insane, like, powerful moment of just like, I will never let someone treat me like that again,
Mhm,
ever. And I think that when you're in an abusive relationship, you almost get used to the abuse because you like, "Oh, no, this is fine." Like, you can, like there's so many different types of abuse. There's, like, like, mental and physical, and, like, I think that, like, you just kind of get used to it because you think that that's what love is, and it's, like, the furthest thing fucking from that, and a lot of therapy got me to the place where I'm at now.
mhm,
But, yeah, I think that that moment, like, was when I also really got into, like, working with, like, the dead and, like, becoming a type of medium that can, like, because now, like, I can't talk to my grandma that has recently passed because I'm not ready to, but I talk to my grandma that, passed when I was, like, 10 years old. I talk to her all the time. Like, I sometimes I'm like, "You need to stop because you're, like what you're telling me to do is not what I wanna do, and, like,
mhm,
you're making my life decisions right now, and, like, that's not how this is gonna work." But yeah, it was a really cool coming to moment of just like being like, oh, And I feel like whenever I talk to other girls that have been in like abusive relationships, like they kind of also have had that moment where you're just like, oh, that's like I cannot ever do that again. And I haven't. I've been in like not great relationships. So I would never be in a physically abusive relationship ever again.
Good for you. And I mean, I'm
Thank
sorry that you
you.
had to go through that to learn, but as you said, sometimes that's the path, right?
Honestly, like, I don't even feel like I don't feel sorry or like, "Oh, damn, I hate that that happened to me." I'm just like, I've had a lot of, like, weird shit happen to me, and I never have that outlook. I'm never like, "Oh, why did that have to happen to me?" I'm also kind of like, I'm glad that that happened to me because I can handle it.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm glad that didn't happen to someone else that can't handle it, that would've stayed, that would've, like, you know, it just wouldn't have ended up being as positive as I take things that have happened that are bad.
Mhm. You've
I think yeah,
You've
sorry.
already said a few telling things, right? You've mentioned like strong family upbringing or at least good like, character building, good morals within the family environment. You've mentioned therapy, which I'm a believer in too. Obviously you're an artist and a creative, and we both know that creating is such important outlet. Like it's a great way to get
Yes.
things out. What are things outside of that that you do to maintain your positive outlook, to maintain the strength that we need to get through life and deal with these like issues?
Working out, exercise, huge, biggest advocate for that. It's like, I think moving to America as well is something that I've realized being Australian, moving to America, like Americans band-aid everything, right? So they like, "Oh, you're sad, take a pill. Oh, you need this, take a pill." And it's like the best way to get through anything in life is to like free your mind, give it some space, get in touch with your body, understand your thoughts, and like move through it like that. Because like if you're just consistently band-aiding things, like you're never fixing the problem. So for me, it's like I wake up every day, like I work out 6 days a week. I do it. That's the thing that I don't do it because, oh, I have to do it for my body to look hot and blah blah blah. I do it for myself because it's the one thing that I'm like, this is when I'm alone. Me, my body, we're doing the thing that makes us feel good. We're moving, we're breathing. And when I'm so in touch with like my breath, the way that my body feels, like everything, I just feel like that's when I'm like the most centered, ready to take on the world type person. If I don't work out for like 3 days, I'm like, all crazy and shit. I'm just like, but I think that like whenever my friends are going through something, I'm like, cool. I'm gonna pick you up and we're gonna go do yoga. I'm gonna pick you up. We're gonna go for a hike. We're gonna go touch grass. We're gonna go breathe. And they're always like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And I feel like that's the one thing that I always tell people. Like I'm doing a bus tour, and on my bus tour is like I work out every day. There is not a day that I like, even if I'm hungover, I'm like, you gotta get up and you gotta work out because it changes everything.
Yeah.
It takes you from being, like, inside your head, being like, "Oh, I'm hungover, I can't do this. Oh, I'm tired." It's like, you just get your body going. That's like it's like starting a car, you know what I mean? You just gotta, like, give it some gas.
It's funny because we're sitting here talking about exercise and the things like to keep us happy and going, and you come from like the rave culture, which is literally all getting the body going and
Yeah,
flowing, love,
yeah,
and I mean, I've never this is gonna sound stupid. I've never thought of this before, but like, is that why people are so happy coming out of concerts and raves? Not because of the drugs, but because there's so much movement and
yeah.
activity?
Yeah, I've honestly never thought about that either, like, because it's like, I feel like when you're just in touch with your body and you're just, like, doing your thing and it's just, like, you and, like, it's just I feel like with dancing, it's like you're not dancing to impress people, you're dancing to have a good time, you're dancing because the music makes you feel something, like, sometimes, like, I'll be, like, walking down the street and I'll just be dancing to a song in my head, and I'm like, "Oh," and then for those 5 seconds, like, it was just me and that. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I wasn't thinking, "Oh, I need to do this," or, "Oh, I need to do that," or, like, "Oh, I should pay my taxes." I'm just like, it's just me in that moment, and I think that that's, like, the most beautiful thing about just yeah, it's moving your body, like and I feel like people forget that because they're like, "Oh, I'll just, like I'm sad." Like, I think that prescription drugs are good for certain things, but it's like, at the end of the day, like, I feel like humans should be taught that, like, the best way to get themselves into a better place is to, like, just move
yeah,
and breathe. Learn how
yeah.
to do that.
I agree. Stagnation is not good. Get out there, be active. Uh,
Yeah.
let's talk about, electronic music. Let's talk about that. You're
Love it.
17, like, you're growing up in these clubs, you're meeting a lot of people, you're rubbing elbows with, like, DJs who are, a lot of whom are now huge. You're learning to DJ
Yeah.
at 17. Uh, Talk to me about, like, a bit of everything, like, favorite obscure DJ, like, that moment where you fell in love with music.
Mhm.
Give me
So
the download.
back in Australia, there was this scene, and it was called the Bang Gang DJs. They were like the most like it was back in the day. I know Steve Aoki did it as well. It was like this club. It was called Dim Mak Tuesdays. One of my really good
Okay, yeah.
friends, the do you know the Cobra Snake? He's a photographer.
No, but I know Dimmock. I remember listening to some of that stuff and following it.
Okay, so it's like back in the Tumblr days, it's like the prime like electronic punk. It was like when nothing was clean mixed, it was all messy and
Okay.
distorted and like everything had so much like anger but it was sexy. And I feel like I was like 17 going to these clubs and like all my friends were DJs and I ended up meeting this DJ duo at the time called the Bloody Beetroots and I ended up becoming really good friends with them. And they just put out that song "Walk" with Steve Aoki, which is like one of the biggest, EDM songs ever. And I remember hearing that, and I remember talking to Bob, who me and Bob actually have a song coming out. He's one of the guys in Bloody Beetroots. Um, Oh, he is the guy in the Bloody Beetroots. There used to be 2, now there's only 1. And I remember talking to him, and he was showing me all this music, and I was just like, "Oh my god, like, this makes me feel, like, so punk and, like, so, like, ugh." And I was into, like, that punk electro sound before I was into any other music. Like, obviously, like, I used to love, like, growing up, I was, Spice Girls and Britney Spears and all that, but when I really, really understood music, it was that whole punk electro scene. It was like this group. There was a guy called Takey Latex. It was Cut Copy. Um, there was a guy called Ajax who's passed now. DJ AM. Like there was so many. I don't know. I feel like that's when music was like. It's like Stevie Aoki. That's when music was like. It was messy and it was just like fucking hard and it's like made you feel something. I feel now
Yeah,
like it's really hard for me to feel that feeling with music. It doesn't make me I remember just, like, listening to it and just being like, "Ah," like, it was just so I don't know, like, I wish that if I could do anything in my life, I would love to give that feeling that I felt to someone else with my music.
yes.
That's why I always try and, like, be gritty and hard, but, like, sexy at the same time because I'm like I remember feeling that and I was just like, "Damn," like, I talk about it with the Cobra Snake with Mark all the time, and I'm like, "It'll never feel like that again." Like,
Mhm.
there was before social media, so everything was just like you would, like, get photos and, like, upload them on Facebook, and it was, like, tits out, like, everyone was just crazy, but it wasn't, like, in a sexual way, it was just in, like, a I feel like it's, like it was, like, what the Sex Pistols was back, but it
Yeah.
was in my time.
You said something really key there, and I think that that's a distinction that unfortunately a lot of people can't make now. You said it wasn't sexual. It was
Yes.
primal, it was animalistic, it
Mhm.
was about
Mhm.
it was kind of like capturing a modern version, I guess, of Woodstock, right? It's just that
Yeah.
freedom.
Yep. Yeah, but it was just yeah, it was just like I don't know, I feel like now with social media and like the way that the world is, very, very sensitive, like we won't I don't think we'll ever have that again because I
Yeah.
feel like you have to be so cautious about everything because, there is so much to be cautious of because the world is a much, much darker place now
Mhm.
and social media runs everything and it's quick. Back then it wasn't quick. Like
Yeah.
you would live in these parties for like, the songs that you loved, you would love them for years. You wouldn't just love them for a month and then listen to another song and then fall in love with that song. Like you would love I remember this you know who Boys Noise is?
Yeah.
He released this one song. It was a remix of My Moon My Man by Feist. And like that song like owned me for like 2 years, you know? And
Yeah.
it's because like, music just moves so fast now.
I mean, it continues to move faster. I'm like I said earlier, I'm 45, so I was really lucky when I turned 14. So when I finished middle school, I moved from Canada to Prague. I went to
Oh,
Europe.
cool.
So I was
Hell
in
yeah.
Prague for 4 years. Like communism had just fell. They're starting to get democracy. Like there's a lot of investment. There's like tourism's their number one thing. And I was this innocent kid who had never really like experienced too much outside of my parents' little world, not in a bad way. And then I all of a sudden was like in this city, which is like a party capital, and everything goes.
Hell yeah.
And
So you're just like,
it was
take me.
it wasn't like it wasn't an immediate fall in, but it was definitely like, "Oh my god, there's so much more to this world than I realized." And that's also
Yeah.
kind of around the time that I started to realize that traveling and culture is so
Mhm.
important to our development as, individuals. Um, but I got there and it's like I just was like falling in love with hip hop and alternative and grunge because it was the like early 90s and that's what was popping off. And then I moved
Yeah.
to Europe. Everything was like 10 years behind.
Oh,
So there was all this like disco and
sick.
house and like stuff that was happening. But then at the same time, within the next 4 years, we got like I started to explore all the different genres and, the Prodigy and Crystal Method and like Daft Punk and all these bands are starting to blow up. And then you start to
Punk
go deeper.
Electro.
Yo, exactly. And then you start to go deeper into electronic. And then I was like, oh my God, there's house. And then there's deep house and there's Chicago house and there's drum and bass and there's like jungle and
Now
there's
there's so much.
and it was like, "What?" And then I went on this mission to find, like, crazier and crazier music, and then all of a sudden you discover industrial metal because it's electronic and rock and metal, and there's Nine Inch Nails and Ministry and KMFDM, and, you talked about obscure stuff. I'll never forget being, first year university, so this would have been '98, and there was 2 Japanese guys in school. I was considered an international student because I went to
You're
school in the US, but I
yeah.
came from Europe, so I was international. And these 2 Japanese guys were, like, in my same area, and we became buddies, and they were DJs, and they gave me this album called Ego Trip from DJ Kaoki. I don't know
Okay.
if you've heard it before, but it, for me, was the closest, I guess, to the electro punk stuff at the time.
Sick.
It's really cool. Check out he never, like, blew up or got mainstream, but he's a very underrated DJ, so
Okay,
DJ
cool. Yeah.
Kaoki, Ego Trip, you'll have to check it out.
Definitely.
It's
Please.
really good.
Yes.
But that exploration and that adventure is really cool, and then I obviously had a lot of experiences similar to yours with the partying and, um okay, I'll share one. So, first time I ever did E, I did it by myself. Someone had given me E. I didn't even realize, like, that I had E. I knew what it was, but it wasn't like, "Oh, I'm gonna try this." I go by myself to this Alanis Morissette music like, Canadian music rock festival in the Czech Republic, Czechoslovakia.
Iconic as fuck.
I know, and I took it, and then I started to be like, "Oh, I can't be here." So I
Exascale
went
Alanis
I
Morissette is
basically
crazy.
I went into the gates, and then I went straight home, and I went straight into bed, and I had just got this CD, 7 Ways by Paul van Dyk.
Oh
He's
my
a Dutch
god.
trance
Paul Van
DJ.
Dyke.
I listened to that album like 6 times in a row in bed and I was dancing in my bed. That was
He
my first ever E experience.
he had that one song, "Look into my eyes." Remember I don't know,
Yeah.
that was like I remember driving one day and I heard Paul Van Dyke the first time, I was like, it's like trancy, like, I was like, "Dude, this is so sick." That's like the Euro shit. Honestly, like, I think that, like, my next journey musically, I wanna do way more in Europe. It is so much more in touch. It is so much more there for the dance, like, the dance culture. I feel like America is just it's, like, over-consuming.
Mhm,
Europe's not like that. I, like, spent a lot of time in Berlin, and, like, when you go to clubs there and when you go dancing there, there's no phones.
mhm.
Like, everyone's just there to vibe, and, like, they even dance different, like, they don't like, they have, like, their little the thing that they do, and it's so cool, and I don't know, I feel like America is just, like I love it here, but I am, like it's so uninspiring sometimes, you know?
I can imagine. I mean, you're also living in a spot like that has a certain tone or ideology or what's the word I'm looking for? Like LA is known for a certain culture, right? So I don't
Well,
know how inspiring or uninspiring it is.
I, like, went to this event, right? And it's like, it was a rock event for, like, artists, and I'm looking around the room, and I'm just like, "No one here is punk. Everyone here abides by the rules." Like, you've got these guys wearing leather jackets and, like, whatever, but I'm like, they like to me, punk isn't just like wearing the clothes. It's like it's an embodiment. And like I'm like, these guys, like they care about like views on TikTok and things like that. I'm like, do you think fucking Kurt Cobain is like, oh, I gotta make content? I'm like, in Europe, when you see like I went to this like one hole in the wall, like people were like, you shouldn't go there. It's super fucking dangerous and sketchy, but it's a very, very iconic punk bar. And like I went in there and it's just like so like hardcore. And I'm like, these boys that are like the rock punk star guys in America wouldn't last a fucking second in there.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I it made me really like I left that event. I was like, I'm really, really close with on my label. And so I like texted like two of my label girlies and I was like, oh, like I was like, I'm more punk than any of those motherfuckers in there. Like I'm like more louder and I have more to say and like I have more to stand by. And like I don't know, it's like you can't just throw on a fucking cool jacket and be like, yeah, I'm a rock star. I'm
Yeah.
like, and anyone that calls himself a rock star isn't a rock star.
I agree. What did Kurt say? "I'd rather be dead than cool," right?
Oh my God. I'm like, you see these guys and it's, girls too, whatever. And they're like, yeah, I'm so like edgy and cool and I'm a rock star. And I'm like, no, you're not. Because you have to identify yourself that. Let the people choose for you.
Yeah. Well, this is one of the reasons why I love, this format and this podcast and this conversation is because I like uh real. Like when you meet someone and you're out and you can like rip with them or joke around, be sarcastic, and you instantly connect over the fact that you guys are both being real. You can take the piss out of yourself.
Hmm.
That's human connection.
Yeah.
And I think that is authenticity. Everyone's different and that's okay. Like if you're a jock or if you're not a jock, like whatever you are, that's okay as long as you're authentically that.
100%. But I feel like, especially like people are chasing to be something that they don't even know what they're chasing.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's, I was talking to my friend yesterday about this because we were talking about like, I'm also like, well, if I go to Europe, I think I need to go to New York. So I feel like I need to switch. And I'm like, you come to LA and people go out and I'm like, are they even having fun? Like, unless you go to a queer parties is the only parties to go to in LA. Like, there's a party that my housemate throws on a Wednesday night. It's called Try. It's at this place called Tenants of the Trees. It's the best party because everyone is there to just dance. But if you're going to like one of the sceney parties in LA, it's like you're just going to take photos.
Mm.
And I'm like, I can take photos in my fucking bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, where I'll feel way more comfortable and not have to be like, yes, I came. This is an event. Hello, I'm at the event. Like I don't know. I feel like I really hope that like LA can like do a switch up or something. I don't know. It just like doesn't feel like I went to a party last night. It's called As If. It's like another queer party. So much fun. We're all just like dancing on the stage, like nothing matters. That's freedom.
Yeah. I'm with you. I shouldn't say always, most of my life I tried to find the balance. And
Mm.
10, 15 years ago ish, I remember saying to my now ex-wife, like she was asking, like, who are you, the type of person? And I said, I'm at the crossroads of the guy who is like on the floor in ripped jeans at in a small, like hole in the wall punk show, like drunk and probably gonna throw up tomorrow, and wearing a tuxedo at the symphony. I think that
Love
the
that.
balance of those two is really good, right? It's like going to an art gallery, going to a tailgate party. Be
Yeah.
comfortable in
Yeah.
both environments and find the spot where you exist best.
That just means you know who you are. Like when you can exist in multiple, I feel like when you can exist in multiple different personalities but at the core, like you're still the same person.
Yeah.
Like, because like obviously there's times when like I'm in a studio session and when I'm writing music, I'm very, very like that's what I'm there to do. That's my job. We are coming out with a song, whether it's great or if it's not. But I don't fuck around. I'm very, very serious. And then, I'm on stage and I'm an absolute psychopath. Like I'll take my
Mm.
clothes off, I'll do whatever I want. And then I'm out at a party and I'm having great conversations with people, or I'm having dinner with other people and I have to be like, more respectful, more like I think when you can exist in so many different situations, but like still be yourself at the core. People always say to me like when they meet me in real life, they're always like, "Oh my God, like you're not what I expected." And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, on stage, you're like just crazy. And I'm like, "You think that I walk around and go to Trader Joe's and act like that?" I'm like, "Are you kidding?" Like, no, that person that I am on stage is some type of alter ego that like I love. But that's what she
Mm.
does on stage. when you have a conversation with me, I'm totally different, you know?
Yeah.
It's like the same when you're writing music, you're in a different headspace. Like,
That's a perfect segue back to kind of what I wanted to talk about because we're talking about death and your grandmother, and just prior to that,
oh yeah, I'm like, we went
no,
so
no, no, it's
many.
okay. That's the way life is. But we were talking about, sexuality and how in certain, let's call it rave culture or certain different scenes, it's not about sexuality, it's more about, like, freedom, right?
Mhm.
It's something primal. So, your music, obviously extremely sexual, sensual, that's okay. How do you balance that? How do you balance, like, the creativity, the sexuality, but not it being, um, oh my god, gratuitous, you know what I mean? Like, we're more about that primal feeling that we get at a rave.
I think that that's because that's who I am as a person. You know,
Okay.
like I have always been like this. Like my mom, when I was like 3 years old, would try and put clothes on me, and I was like, no. And like, I feel like I am, I'm not trying to be anything else other than myself. And it took me a really long time to get to this point because I feel like, coming from Australia into like the music industry in America, it's very different. It's way more conservative. And it's like very much like, okay, like how do we build a pop star? Like here are the points to build you. And it's like I was told to be so many different things. Like, don't wear clothes that are too sexual because people won't take you seriously. Don't do this because people won't take you seriously. Like, you know, always I was just told so many things that I had to be this version that wasn't me. And it wasn't until I think after COVID, I like had a break and I was like, all right, who the fuck am I? Like I have been just floating through life. Like I'd never really had the chance to figure out who I was as an artist. Like I wrote a bunch of really big dubstep songs and therefore I just became like a dubstep artist because like that's what you do. I'm like, okay, great. Like I make dubstep now and I sing dubstep top lines and that's like who I am. And then COVID happened and I went to the studio like every day and I started to make like industrial, metal, punk because I was missing that like that tension. And within that tension, I feel like comes like sexuality. And it's
Mhm.
like, I feel like 9 Inch Nails closer. That's like the hottest song in the fucking world. It makes you like just want to be crazy, but it's also makes you angry. It makes you sexual. It makes primal, like so many different things. And I was just like, I really spent a lot of time figuring out like who am I? What is my like I feel like when you're an artist, you have to have something to say. You have to have something that you stand by. You have to have something that you're sharing with the world. And then I was like, "Oh my god, like I feel like I'm a vessel for like every girl that has been told like don't act a type of way because people won't like you or like any kid that doesn't want to come out because they're scared." And
Mhm.
I feel like because I'm just so myself and so free, but I was very unfree for a really long time.
Yeah. So the sexuality is authentically who you are, and it's part
Oh,
of your just,
to the
like,
T.
self-discovery. Amazing.
Yeah, like I love to talk about sexuality because I feel like people, like I had this conversation with my friend and we were doing the what are your red flags? And he said to me, I was like, what are my red flags? And he's like, you honestly really only have one and it's like you're very, very hypersexual and like sometimes that's a lot for people to handle. And I'm like, huh. Well, if that's like a lot for people to handle, they're just not my people.
Yeah,
I'm like, "That's okay." Like, I don't wanna be everyone's cup of tea because that's,
yeah,
like, unrealistic. But, like, I know that I make music for people that wanna embrace themselves, that wanna feel
yeah,
a type of way that's not, like, straight. They wanna feel up and down and they wanna feel, like, every type of way. And that's my goal, is if you
yeah,
connect with me and you feel good and sexy and free and sad and angry and whatever it is, Run is, like, my most crazy angry song, and it's like but it's also, like, I think one of the funnest songs that I've written, but it's so angry and it's so sad.
mhm. I think that's an important point that you're making is that, like, there's nothing wrong with sexuality, sensuality, romance, like, all of these different, topics. You're doing it authentically, and you're focused on health, you're focused on mental health, you're focused on therapy, you're focused on, fitness, family, whatnot. you're doing all the things to justify the fact that, yeah, this is like a natural, authentic expression and not me just like doing sex for the hell of sex sells or because I'm
Yeah.
traumatized and I haven't dealt with it. So
Yeah,
this is,
no. Yeah, I feel like, when I started to definitely embrace my sexuality, people were like, "Oh, yeah, sex sells and blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Hell fucking yeah, it does." Like, who fucking cares? Like, and also, you know what sells? Being like, I don't know, making great music, being
yeah.
a good cook. Like, why do we have to just because it's like me stepping into something that has been I feel like the world has been like, "Don't if you're too sexual, if you're like too much of a gaze, like you're doing something wrong." I'm like, "No, that's just so that people can control other people. That's a controlling thing." And
Yeah.
it's just because like I feel like because I was not controlled, but I was told to be so many things in my career that now that I'm not, like, and a lot of people can't handle it. You're gonna get me 100% every time I talk to you, every time I get on that stage, every time I go into a studio session. I'm never going to be a version of myself that isn't me
Mhm.
because that's just stupid.
I agree. I mean, I have to shut my mouth sometimes because I'm too much too me, but that's also like part of life's beautiful journey is there's different seasons and you
Yeah.
learn and you grow and you change and you pivot and you reinvent yourself as you go.
I also think it's like important to like break that stigma of like what sexuality is. And like if you see someone like being themselves and if that looks super sexual to you, like if you see a girl dancing and she's dancing super hot and sexual, like I think breaking that stigma of her, that's just her being free. That's just her enjoying her body. And there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like people like to shut other people down because they're insecure or they can't control them or they don't want people to look at them or whatever it is. And it's like, that's just like, that's again, like it's ugly behavior.
Yeah. I'm with you. Um for
Sorry, I
you,
get very passionate.
that is what this is about. If we can't have like passionate, engaging conversations, then society is going to fall apart.
Yeah, I'm just like, fucking ex from fucking what's a middle of America's gonna hate me. And I'm like, hell yeah, hate me, my guy.
Yeah, I don't know that people hate people for their choices, I think that character I had a really interesting chat with a rapper in Toronto yesterday, his name's Shad, and he brought up a really awesome point. He said, like, "What happened to character?" Character is how we used to, like, be judged growing up, 'cause him and I are the
Mhm.
same age, and we can remember when we were young, like, you had opinions and all this stuff, and you would say things and do things, but, like, no one gave a shit because all they cared about was how you showed up. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, what I say online, that pull quote from this conversation, that tweet, whatever it is not who I am when I came to the store and I helped the old lady off the ground or,
yeah.
character is so important. So I don't think middle America is gonna hate you. I think that some people might, but at the end of the day,
But
that's a
I'm like,
reflection
hell
of
yeah,
them.
fucking hate me. I'm
But
like,
that's a
hate me
reflection of
because
them,
you
not you.
But it's like that's what I mean. I'm like, hate me because you can't be me. Like, hate me because you suppress that part of yourself that you don't like that I bring out. Because generally, that's you know, I'm not a jealous person, but whenever I find myself being like, huh, why do I feel a type of way about this? I'm like, oh, it's because they are doing something that maybe I aspire to do, or maybe like
Mm,
I want that, or maybe I think that looks great. And what part of my head is not liking that? And like, why am I trying to be like that? And like, I think it's like rather than like you know, I figured out like when I feel that way, I'm like, oh, that I should try that because if it's
mhm.
making me feel like a little bit jealous or maybe I want that, I should do that.
Yeah.
I think that jealousy comes from not understanding. And it's like when you don't understand something, you should try and understand it. So then, therefore, you're not jealous of it anymore.
You're a grounded person. You're making decisions for yourself from a
Yeah.
place of love, not of hurt. You're doing things to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And for me, the tell about all of it is kind of the quote that you have about your upcoming album was that it's about rewriting the narrative of souls
Yes.
who've ever been told they're too much. So love yourself hard, own your story, and let the world choke on it. That sounds like you.
That's literally, I'm like, just so, yeah, I feel, I look back to sometimes like, when you're, doing memory lane thoughts, I look back to like the person I was, 15 years ago and I'm like, damn, like am so proud of who I am now and what I stand for, and my friends are, and my family is, and, like, everyone around me, they're just like, I've really stepped into myself, and that when you step in, like, when you're like when you're so there, you're so inside yourself, and I feel that so heavily at the moment. Like, I felt that this year, and
Yeah.
that feeling I wish I could give to every single person in the world because I know people will go through their life and they'll never feel that.
So you're vibrating high. Your frequency is elevated. I could
Sometimes I'm like, "Get down, bitch, calm down."
No, no, no. You keep it high. I can tell you something from the future that that feeling, it you start chasing it, and then every time you realize that like you've hit a level and that you are so zoned in on yourself,
Mhm.
that there's another level, and then you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm so much more zoned in now. So just keep going because you're gonna level up
I
fast.
I feel like the next phase that I this is the vision that I have for it, that I'll feel this in tune with my bodies when I'm carrying a child.
Ah,
That's, like, what I think. Yeah, that's where I'm like, "Oh, I'm stoked that I'm here," because when I do get to that part in my life,
mhm,
I feel like one of the biggest goals in life is to bring children into this world and to bring children into a world where you can make them better people.
yeah,
Like, what you can, like, really teach these kids how to go through life and be kind and, like, love and be gentle, and I feel like, it's that's kind of like it's creating happiness and love. That's the kind of the goal of life. Obviously, to, like, live a great life and make a ton of money and do all that shit, but at the end of the day, it's not. It's just really to, like, make baby humans that are better people so the world is a better place.
yeah. I mean, I am a father of 5 and, 2 mine, 1 that is not with us, 2 that are not mine. I love them all. They're
Yeah.
incredible, children. It is such a trip. It changes your life. It makes you a
I
better person.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'm excited whenever that time, it's not yet, but whenever that time is coming for me, I'm very excited.
I'm sure you'll kick ass.
Thank you.
All right, well let's talk about a couple different things because we've touched on the music, we've talked about kind of like who you are and where you come from, and um, you can really see how that translates into the music and the art that you're creating. Give me a random, like obscure artist that you love, who's inspired you, who more people need to know about.
Okay, so there's this group, they're German, they're called Kata Libre. They are my favorite thing. Like, I've been obsessed with them. They're like 2 guys, they're 2 brothers. Um, for me, it takes me back to that feeling that I had when I was growing up and it's like first learning about punk, like the punk electro scene. For me, that is the current wave of that. They're so like all the lyrics are in German. The melodies are so fucking sick. It's rave, it's fun, it's punk. Um, if you should definitely check them out. They're just so cool. And I love all their songs. Like, and their songs are slightly like sexy and like, I don't know, they just like I play a lot of them in my sets because like I'm like more people need to know about this style of music. And it's also because it's coming from Europe. I'm like America hasn't touched it yet. You know? I'm like, "Guys, don't come here. Don't blow up here because 'cause it'll change." But also, you wanna see your favorite artist blow up, and I just think those 2 guys, they're just so, so sick. They're so sick.
Awesome. I'm gonna check it out. Two like last topics, key things. One is for the listeners, for the people who are aspiring artists, it's hard. You and I
Mhm.
both know like being a creative is hard. And I
So
think
hard.
most people unfortunately don't realize that the whole point of being a creative is to just be a creative.
Yeah.
And if you succeed, great. And if you don't, who cares? Because the point is being a creative.
Mhm.
You've done a really awesome job getting almost 200,000 followers on TikTok, about 130K on Instagram. You've got like a
Give
fan
me my
club
stats.
of 1,500. There's lots of stream. You're terrible. No one wants to hear about you. What what did you do? Like, how did you start out? How did you build the following? Where was the groundswell? Like, and what was that moment where you said, "Oh, things are really starting to pop off"?
I don't even think I've had that moment yet where I think things are starting to pop off because I am nowhere near what I know I'm capable of. But I think that the coolest thing for me is always my fans, and, like, when they come to me and they're like, "Oh my god, like, you're such a bad bitch and you make me feel so liberated." And I really feel like when I was in the bathroom one time and I just finished my set and I heard these like two trans girls and they're like, I love going to Gigi shows because this is where I feel really safe and this is where we feel really seen. And like, I just like burst into tears and I walked out and I was like, that is the goal of my entire career, is to like create a safe space where everyone can just come and feel free. Because that's when I fell in love with music, that's how I felt. And I think that like the question was, I'm reeling, but I think that like whenever you're creating art, create it for yourself. Don't create it for anyone else other than you. I always think to myself, I'm like, I look online, like I'm a huge Pinterest girl, and I'm like, what are things that I like? Because I never want to make things for other people. I just want to make it for myself because if I love it, like I don't really care if people don't like it as long as I love
Mhm.
it. And I've put out a lot of music that I don't like because I've had to, because I'm supposed to put those songs out. And when I do put out songs that I love, like I just recently released a song called Wet Dreams, and it's my favorite song I've ever written. And I'm like, I'm not the person that's like, usually when people play my music out in clubs, I'm like, oh, don't. Like my friend played it last night in the club, and I got up there and I had all the gay boys and they picked me up. And like, when you make stuff that you really love, it just shines and then it gets other people excited. And I think that's the reason for art, is just make it for yourself, just for you. And then if the world likes it, hell yeah. But at the end of the day, you just gotta like it.
So is that your same approach then with socials and just online media and marketing? Like you make it for yourself, and if people like it, who care?
I I always tell like when people are like, what do I post for this? What do I do? Like, do you think this is cringy? And I'm like, what do you like? What do you like on social media? What do you like to, when you're doom scrolling, what are you looking for, that the videos that you start, make those videos. Because if you're making
Mm,
videos just because they're trending or whatever it is, like that's not you. And do you want to be known for anything else other than you?
yeah.
You know?
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I love as cliche as this might sound, is I love self-help stuff. I get, like,
Me
really
too.
touched by people that are out there helping other people. Like, when you see that video about the guy saying something or the woman saying something to a crowd, and then that person is having the one-on-one, and then all of a sudden in that moment, they cut through, like, 20 years of pain by identifying the trauma or the issue. There's that release. Kinda like when you go to get a massage, right? You got a huge knot, and then all of a sudden the
Yeah.
knot, like,
Yeah.
releases in the massage. I love that, and if I could
Me
do
too.
that with this
Mhm.
podcast by inspiring people to be
Ugh.
themselves and having real fucking conversations, then that's awesome.
All I listen to is mental health podcasts, by the way. That's, like, all I listen to because I'm like, I think that, like, and it's like therapy, right? Whenever you're like, we all know, but it's like when you're listening to someone else talk about something that maybe it's touched you or it's felt you, like, or you can relate to it and you hear someone else, sometimes just hearing someone else's point of view that you don't know can
Yeah,
help you have a breakthrough. Or like, that's like the great thing about music. I could be writing a song about the a heartbreak that I had, and I know over a billion people have felt this. I know a billion people are gonna connect to this song, you know? And I think that that's, yeah, I don't know.
I'm with you. Uh, okay, one more question, and this one I already know the answer, but I'm being cheeky. Do you believe in ghosts?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if you can see this.
No.
Boo.
Oh,
It's it's a ghost. Oh god. I had to get on the weirdest part of my arm, but it's a ghost.
I saw it's cute.
I mean, you already know. I have a whole movie about it. I am a spooky ass bitch. I love the paranormal world. I practice witchcraft. I work with the dead. I do tarot. I do DMT ceremonies. I do it all because I feel like that's a whole nother realm. And it's like that's also just like knowing that you're so in touch with yourself that you can connect to things that you can't see, you know? And I think
Yeah.
that like there's nothing cooler than when you like come in contact with the paranormal world. Some people hate it. I'm just like, I did this, I went, ghost hunting and I work with Ouija boards and things like that. And people are so scared of it. And I'm like, you're only scared of it because you don't know it. Once
Mm,
you know it, once you understand it, it's not scary. Like, of course, seeing things when you're like, it gives you a jump scare because you can't explain it to people. Like, like I remember when I did this like ghost hunt, and I remember seeing this like huge stick figure just like walking, and the girl that I was on the ghost hunt with, me and her, it was just the two of us. Only the two of us saw it, and we were both like, "That is so sick," because it's like it exists. You just and the thing is that if you don't open your mind to it, and if you're not open to it, it's like anything in life. If you're not free and open, it's not gonna come near you. It's not gonna
mm,
touch you. It's not gonna be open to you. And like the more open you are to the paranormal space, the more it invites you in and the more, and obviously like with anything in the world, there is dark shit, but that's like anything in the world, you know?
yeah.
It's just about understanding it and like, I don't know, it's so cool. It's so cool.
I'm a believer. I do feel like the universal energy, the thing that holds all of this together is so interconnected that it's like unavoidable. So
Hmm.
there's like some coincidence, but then in life, like once thing is too coincidental, like this is
Yeah.
not possible to be so coincidental. My grandfather on my mom's side, who I have tattooed here as well, Dieda, which is what I call him, is just Czech slang for, grandpa or gramps. He died in Toronto. And when he passed, we were in the room when he died. First time I've ever seen a death, which was, a
Crazy.
crazy experience in and of itself. But on his door in the facility was a monarch, just like a, paper monarch. And when I got outside, I was too messed up, I couldn't drive, so my ex got in the car, I got in the passenger seat, and I just looked up,
Yeah.
and as soon as I looked up, my eyes made contact with the monarch, like, just a sole monarch flying around. And then about, I don't know, a month later, whenever we had the, internment, because we didn't do really a big funeral, it was more like an internment with just the family, we buried him, um said some nice things and whatnot, and then I'm not even kidding, I looked up, and we all looked up, and there was a soul monarch just, like, over the grave.
Yeah.
And then this fast forward a decade plus, and I met this amazing woman who I'm seeing now, um, and her name started with a J. My grandfather's name starts with a J. Her last name is Duda. I called my grandfather Dieda.
Hmm.
And she had a golden monarch necklace. And I was like, "Okay, I see what's going on here. I'm supposed to be with this person."
Yeah. See, but you have to. It's because you're open to the signs.
Mm,
You know what I mean? And you take them in, like, it's like, I feel like people aren't self-aware enough to be open to those signs, and it's like, when when you're open to them and you see them and you're like, "Oh," you understand that you're on the right life path
yeah,
because it's literally guiding you and, like, like, he's your spirit guide, he's with you. So, like, and he's always gonna show you, like, "Hey, like, this is what you're in right now is what I want you to be in, and it's a great life path for you."
100%. Um, I have a book that I wanna reference right now, so I'm gonna be like, this is the
Please.
first time I'm doing this. I'm gonna try and see if I can find it.
Let's go.
And this just goes with the whole point of what we're talking about. So, we were both so blown away by this whole name and the monarch and everything that we named our baby girl Nova Monarch. That was her middle
Oh.
name. And I picked this up at the airport before, like, we even had her, before any of this stuff happened. This was, here one moment, there's a monarch. What are the odds that I would have her and she would be here for one moment?
Whoa, that's crazy. That's
Right?
fucking crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. But
Keep that
see, like, it's so beautiful that in something, and like, and it goes with death. It's like when you can connect the dots to like where your life path is taking you, it brings you peace.
mm,
because you're like, "Oh, like, like, you trust it."
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense, and I think
Yeah.
that what you just basically talked about was having faith, right? Like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
get all preachy here, but, like,
Yeah,
some
no.
people call it God, for some people it's Jesus, for some people it's Buddha, whatever it is, like,
Whatever
having
it is.
faith.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's literally all the same thing. It's spirituality, it's energy, it's connection
Yeah.
and faith.
No, you are where you're supposed to be, everything is gonna be okay, it might suck, it
Exactly.
might be
And
so
it's
fucking brutal, but
I I feel like when you resist what life is trying to do for you, like I remember like, I've been in certain situations and I know you have too, where it's like you're like, "No, I'm just gonna try again at this thing." And it's like it is very much told you no. Like, or you're like, "I'm just gonna like see if I can do this." And it's like every time you do it, it's like no, and then you take a step back. It's like when you get out of a toxic relationship or whatever it is. And you're like, "Oh, now I see," like, and life takes you in a different direction. You're like, "Now I see
yeah,
why that never would have worked for me." But it
yeah,
takes you to, like,
yeah.
just trusting that, like, I pretty much always go into everything that I do now. I'm like, when things don't go my way, I'm like, "Great, another door's about to open and this is gonna be epic."
That's the thing, like, one of the things you just said, like, "Oh, I see why that happened." It's not
Yeah,
just because it wouldn't have worked out, but because if that didn't happen, it wouldn't have allowed me to be strong enough to deal with this, or wouldn't have
and
pushed
that's, like,
with that person.
going back to, like, what we were talking about at the beginning. It's like with trauma, like, I understand why everything that I've been through has happened to me because it's
Mhm.
made me this person right now.
Yeah,
And I wouldn't be this person without all that shit.
yeah,
I needed that shit to make me as strong as like just who I am. And that's why I'm so, when I was saying like I I'm so stepped in, I'm so tapped in, I'm so myself. I fucking understand like
yeah,
who I am, but I wouldn't if I didn't have had all those things. So
yeah.
I'm so grateful. Like, I'm so grateful for, like, all the weird shit.
That's a great place to leave off, gratitude. It took me a very long time, and shout out to, oh god, how am I forgetting his name? The motivational speaker who's very tall and has the big head. Why am I forgetting his name?
I
This
mean,
is
I
horrible.
listen to Matthew McConaughey
I
motivational
mean, that
talks.
stuff's good too. I can't believe that I'm forgetting his name, and I'm so sorry because this guy is, like, massive. He's an icon in the industry, but I remember hearing a clip, and he was saying how, every morning he wakes up and he practices gratitude because gratitude is the easiest way to ground yourself and stay present
Yeah. Yep.
by practicing gratitude. So, in terms of hangover conversations, how does this rank?
This is great. I don't even feel hungover anymore. Let's fucking go.
Yay!
No, it's so you're awesome. This is great. And, like, I I love talking about positive stuff. I feel like I love talking about real shit. Like I feel like a lot of times when you're doing things, people just ask you like the same kind of questions. Uh-oh. Am I frozen?
No, no, you're good.
Oh, I got the data storage thing again. But I feel like people ask you questions that they're supposed to ask and you never really get to like the deep shit. And this is great. I loved it.
Good. Also, before we sign off, it was Tony Robbins. That's what my brain was
Oh,
blanking on.
cool. Love, 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 love.
Maybe I'm the one that's hungover.
Maybe I pass my hangover to you. It's like
Yeah,
I'm like,
thank you for
your
that.
turn now.
Gigi Magree, what else do you wanna say? Thank you for your time. You've
Oh
been
my
a
god, anytime.
blast.
I love it. I guess like I don't know. I'm just excited, and if you, I hope that if someone is struggling with their sexuality or, trying to find their place in the world, that they can listen to this and just embrace themselves more. Like make a bunch of fucking mistakes until you figure out who you are and just step into yourself and just fucking unleash your shit into the world.